Hey everyone, it's Laura, and I'm here with your weekly transmission, which we are going to do a little different per my guide's instructions. They actually had me write a rather lengthy transmission for you this week. Feels a little bit like an activation where this is concerned. So they directed me to, rather than kind of channel and speak into a recorder and get the idea of the transmission and then, come on here and do it for you or channel it directly for you in these videos. They wanted me to read what they had me automatically write while channeling them. So we're going to do that first. And then I was instructed to pull a card from a particular deck, and we will talk a little bit about that as well. So let's get started. Healing takes time. Adjustment takes time. Transition takes time. Be it a broken bone, a broken heart, a move, or a personal shift. All things require a period of time. And we're not speaking of your linear or rigid idea of time. We speak instead of the fluidity of time. When your heart breaks, do you not have days where you feel strong and suddenly the next you plummet into deep sadness and pain? Did your 3D notion of linear time not still pass? So when we speak of time, we speak of the fluidity of time. We speak of the spiral whereby you are simultaneously within the sadness, the transition, whatever you're experiencing, and all things require time, just not in the ways that you have thought of or interacted with time. You praise the days when you're handling things well or feel strong. And then you shame and blame yourself on the days when you're not necessarily feeling your best. How odd that it's the days when you're witnessing time within its fluidity and not its rigidity that you're seeing, or when you're seeing evidence before you, there you choose to blame instead of see the magic that is occurring and is happening right around you. When you're seeing or experiencing the fluidity of time, you're seeing proof positive that potentially many of the things that you've long thought or believed to be true may deserve your questioning. That not all you think you see is actually solidly there, or that you're not crazy if you think that all things are moving in a wave. A wave when your past and your present even exist simultaneously. And as you grow stronger and you begin to see the light at the end of the tunnel, and you begin to acclimate to the new normal of your situation, you envision the future. You feel excitement for the future. This doesn't mean that you don't slide back into the heavier feelings. It's just that evidence exists now that you will have a different experience in the future. It is this evidence within your own experience that you are having personally, that the fluidity of time allows you to be both in the past, the present, and the future. That you're never in just one. When you feel weak or hardened by your experience, ask yourself, what's going on here? We will reply that you're revisiting your past and the emotions therein. Your higher self will tell you that your visit to the past doesn't change the strength or the confidence or the normalcy that you've established in the present. You've just slipped into a different dimension. It doesn't change that you will get to a point of excitement either for the future or be able to envision the future. All of which is far better than you're causing more trauma and more self-abuse by shaming yourself because you think you're traveling backwards when you're merely seeing evidence that both or all of these dimensions, past, present, and future, exist simultaneously. Yes, all things require time, but as many of you are learning presently, time is shifting. Sometimes you're in it, sometimes you're not. Sometimes you're expanding it, and sometimes you're contracting it. Just as sometimes you're in your past, even while you're in your present, while also having a hope or a dream for the future. And the proof positive, it's in your own life experience. You're experiencing it. And your denial of this fact that not only are you a multi-dimensional being, but that time is fluid as opposed to linear or rigid and exists past, present, and future, and is quite changeable, is also possible. It seems silly to deny that now, doesn't it? And natural it should feel, perhaps, that just as time is shifting, as is our interaction with it, that there could be other natural laws, so-called natural laws, universal laws that we've been told, that we've been conditioned by, that we should also begin to question. But take your time going down that rabbit hole. We wouldn't want to overwhelm you. So that's your transmission from my teams, in this case, the Pleiadian High Council. And the card that was drawn from this very beautiful deck that I always forget the name of is the I'm Sorry card. I'm trying to get it a little more not fuzzy. And it says I'm sorry. And the words beneath it says defenselessness, righting past wrongs, and uprooting. And what stuck out to me the most was the uprooting, because many of us, as of late, have felt very uprooted, if not literally because we have lost our homes or we've lost our jobs, our source of income, if not because we are feeling energetically that things are different than they have been in the past, or that we're waking up and we're realizing that certain things aren't what they seem to be. That feeling of being uprooted can be very jarring and make us feel a little bit like we're trying to stand still on quicksand. The best thing that we can do for ourselves is to nurture and to ask those open-ended questions, much like my guides had me channel in the transmission I just delivered. Instead of how and why, ask what if, ask what's going on here, ask these open-ended questions that actually open us to receive the infinite possibilities of what is going on, and the infinite possibilities that we can establish a sense of security, a solution to a problem within our experience. Because I feel that each and every one of us in some way, shape, or form are feeling the essence of being uprooted. So while I don't necessarily feel resonant or in alignment with the I'm sorry or the defenselessness, although many of you might feel a little bit like you are being bombarded and beat up by the world. This feels much more to me like a call to action for us to create our own inner stability. Because when we do that and we are in that space, that's when we are not as or at all impacted by what is occurring outside of us. That is that 0 point of neutrality that you've heard me say often in the last few weeks. But that is because it is so incredibly important. We want to establish a knowing, not just a trusting, but a knowing within ourselves that we have everything that we need, that we are supported in every way, that we don't need to fear or lock in to the 3D heaviness of the programming that has been our entire existence, that we can actually shift our consciousness in a different direction. And that when we do, our life then begins to move into a different direction. And so it's less about how or why, and it's more about just being curious to go, what's happening here right now? Why do I feel uprooted? Why do I feel, defenseless? What's going on here? And when you ask yourself that, your higher self, your teams, your guides, they're going to respond. They're going to show you the way. But not just that, those are the portals, those are the doors that you are quite literally opening to the infinite possibilities that are before you, that are at your disposal for you to receive whatever it is that you need. But first and foremost, if I were to be feeling ungrounded or uprooted, and I were to ask myself, what am I feeling right now? Okay, well, I'm feeling ungrounded. I'm feeling uprooted. I'm feeling like the ground beneath my feet is not secure. Then I know that for me, the solution is, okay, what can I provide myself that is going to help me feel more grounded, more secure, more stable? Because everything outside of us is ultimately a reflection of what's going on within us, as well as what is going on within the collective and the collective consciousness. You don't need to necessarily right away change the entirety of the collective consciousness in order to change your own consciousness and to provide that sense of stability, that sense of knowing you are supported in all ways and in all ways by your teams, your guides, whatever you want to call them, whatever facet of that diamond you happen to perceive your divinity from. You have support in all ways, and that there are limitless possibilities before you. That is what, when you know that, when you create that for yourself internally, then you are less or not at all affected by what is occurring around you, because there is such a sense of inner trust, of inner knowing, that you understand, I don't need to stress all this. I don't need to stress what, all is taking place. I can have my human moment and be like, oh, shit, what am I going to do? But then we have to pull ourselves back and we have to ask those open-ended questions, and we need to answer some of them ourselves, because the more we do for ourselves within here, the more that what's in here is going to be reflected around us. So if we're heavy and fearful and scared and feel unsupported or undefended within here, that's going to be what we experience around us out here. That's how we can become uprooted or ungrounded, because of what is transpiring around us. We don't always control that, but we do control this. We are sovereign, and so we always retain control of this. So I hope that these words reach you, that they land, that they are welcomed into your heart, I hope the transmission was an activation of understanding that may inform a new perception and interaction with the notion of time and how you perceive it, how you work with it, how you just deal with it. And to tell you a very interesting story, I was late for a call with somebody. I had thought it was the wrong day. I thought it was Wednesday and we were supposed to meet Thursday. Well, lo and behold, it was Thursday. And she messaged me and was like, hey, are we still on for our meeting today? And I was like, oh shit, it's Thursday. So I ran downstairs. I got on the call. Meanwhile, my husband's leaving for his volunteer firefighting thing. My girls are waiting for me to take them to gymnastics that starts in like a half an hour at this point when I'm connected with her. And, you know, obviously I wanted to give this person my full undivided attention. And so by the time I got off the call, I grabbed my girls in the car, and initially I started having that feeling like I normally do, like, oh my God, we're going to be late. They're going to, you know, what if they're not allowed to go into the class? It's their last class. You know, I don't want them to be disappointed, you know, and having that human pickup moment. And then I stopped and I just started repeating to myself, I can make it on time. I can make it on time. And I didn't just say it, I knew it. And how I proved I knew it is I didn't once look at the time on my phone. I didn't once look at the time on the camera of my, the time in my car. Even when we kept hitting light after light, we can make it in time. We can make it in time. I know we can make it in time. And when we pulled into the parking lot and we parked our car and we walked in the building, I didn't check the time. And as we walked to the door, they were letting some of the kids from the previous class out and they welcomed the girls in. The class hadn't even started yet. So we made it in time. And if you recall last week how I, in the YouTube video, which is on my website, if you didn't catch it, I had that accordion fan talking about how in 3D we're living basically on the razor's edge of one of those folds, but we have the power to expand time or to contract it, to speed it up. And all I did as I was repeating, we can make it on time, was seeing that fan expanding, therefore giving me more time to get to where it is I needed to get. So it was proof positive of the interaction we can have with time when we know within our hearts, within our bones, within our being, that time is not just how we perceive it. So again, I hope that these words resonate with you. I hope they give you something to think about. Maybe the next time you're running late, you will follow my lead and see for yourself how true it can be that you can very easily put this to work within your life. And as always, if you resonate with these videos, if you resonate with these messages or with this message or any of the previous messages, please share them. Share them on your social media, share the links with your friends, your family, with anyone who you feel may benefit from receiving this information. As always, I hope you have an amazing week and I love you fully. Mwah.